Hello friends, back with another gameplay for you. Today I'll be piloting the Sultai Commander Glarb, Calamity's Augur. It's a 2/4 with Death Touch that allows you to play lands and cards with CMC 4 or greater off the top of your deck. You can also tap him to Surveil 2. I'll see if I can't remember to do that at the end of my opponent's turn as much as possible, just to get as much value out of him. I have this horrible tendency of forgetting, so hopefully I'll do better with that. Our opponent is also a 3-colored commander in Slimefoot and Squee. This is a Jund 'em out style deck where you just try to out attrition your opponent. Slimefoot and Squee will make a 1/1 sapling whenever it enters and then attacks, and then you can also sacrifice saplings and pay 4 to return Slimefoot and Squee from your graveyard and another creature in your graveyard to the battlefield, but it can only be done at sorcery speed. So we'll see if I can't outvalue my opponent today, as that's kind of what Glarb is all about. We did win the coin toss, so we will choose to be on the play. And there's our starting hand. I think it's keepable. We got some draw, removal, as well as counter magic or draw. So yeah, we'll go ahead and keep this hand. And I think since we don't have anything to do with our mana turn 1, we're going to play this Mystic Sanctuary as it comes in tapped. And with that, we'll pass to our opponent. Bayou from Slimefoot and Squee. And they'll go ahead and swamp cycle the Troll of Khazad-dûm, getting a Blood Crypt. And pass back to us. I think we go ahead and play the Marsh Flats. And we want to get into both green and black, so we're going to look for our own Bayou. Actually, I forgot, we have this Zagath Triome in our deck, so that'll give us all 3 of our colors. And I think that's the right card to pull up. We'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. They'll go ahead and play that Blood Crypt. Enters tapped, and they'll pass back to us. We get into a Sunken Hollow. It does enter tapped unless we control 2 or more basics. I would like to get Glarb out, which this would let us do, as we just have lots of blue sources here. It would also give us access to Rakasha's Bargain, but I do kind of want to leave the mana up for Archmage's Charm just to counter a spell in case they want to try to play Slimefoot and Squee on their next turn. So I think the right play is to play an island right now. And we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. They play a Mana Confluence. And then they do go ahead and play Slimefoot and Squee, so we'll go ahead and counter that. And then we draw into another island. And now I think we can go ahead and play the Sunken Hollow and pass to our opponent, as we don't have anything else we can do aside from play Dismember. Rockish Theater from our opponent, so they'll Surveil 1. And they decide to put whatever card it was on top, as the Troll is the only card in our opponent's graveyard. And then a Raid Bombardment from our opponent, so whenever creatures they control with power 2 or less attack, we're going to take some damage. That's fine. We'll go ahead and draw into a Command Tower. I think we go ahead and play said Command Tower. And we'll go ahead and play our Commander out. And then we have a Dimir Aqueduct on top of our library. Shoot. I should have played Glarb first and then played that land off the top, so we could have dug a little deeper. That was a mistake. Underground Mortuary from our opponent, so they'll Surveil again, leaving whatever card it was on top. And now we see a Demonic Tutor from our opponent, so they'll fetch whatever card they want. We draw into the Dimir Aqueduct. On top of our library is the Undercity Sewers, so we'll go ahead and play that. And we Surveil into a Get Out, which is a counterspell for creatures, so I think we go ahead and leave that on top. And since we want that on top, I think we can go ahead and just attack with Glarb, get in a couple points of damage, and then we'll pass to our opponent. They're going to play Metamorphosis Fanatic. It's a 4/4 with lifelink, and when it enters, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. So they're going to get back the Troll. That's a great play. I wish I had my counter spell in hand right now, but I do not, so that's going to go ahead and hit. They get the Troll back, and I think we go ahead and dismember the Troll now. Let's play Rakasha's Bargain. Shoot. I should have played Rakasha's Bargain to get that counter spell. Mistakes were made. We'll go ahead and draw our 2 cards now, though, and let's get Oko as well as this Get Out. Yeah, we'll go ahead and remove the troll with Dismember, and we'll pay a life to do it. So 1, 2, or 2 life, I should say, and that'll go to the graveyard. We draw into the Meat Hook Massacre, so we'll hang on to that for now. We have Scalding Tarn on top of our library, so we'll go ahead and play that. Puts Pulse of Maresa on top, so I think we go ahead and crack the Scalding Tarn. And I think we're going to get the Underground Sea with the Scalding Tarn. And that'll put another island on top, so we can't play anymore off the top of our library. I think we go ahead and put out Oko and turn the Metamorphosis creature into a 3/3. Seems like the right play, and then we can just protect it with Glarb. So we will go ahead and +1 him to nerf that creature a little bit. And then we will pass the turn to our opponent. They are going to Fell the Profane on Oko, and I don't have a way to protect him, so that is unfortunate. He's just going to go back. He's going to get destroyed, so he'll hit the graveyard. Arid Mesa has land for turn, and then our opponent to pass back to us. At the end of the turn, we'll go ahead and activate Glarb. We've got 2 islands on top, so we'll put both of those in our graveyard. And then we draw into a Spell Snare with another island on top of our library, so we'll go ahead and play that. Leaves another land on top of our library, so nothing else there. We could play the Meat Hook Massacre for 3 just to get rid of Metamorphose, or to get rid of that 3/3, and then we can start applying pressure. I think I like that play, so let's go ahead and do that. Well, it's going to give all creatures -3/3 until end of turn. I would like to get the 2 damage in. I think we go ahead and attack and see what our opponent does. Yeah, no blocks from our opponent. Now we'll play this Meat Hook Massacre. So 3, 2 black. That creature will die, and then we'll gain some life. And then we'll pass to our opponent. We've got a few counter spells up. Opposition Agent at the end of turn from our opponent. And I don't really like that, so I think we go ahead and play Get Out on that now. So the agent to be countered. And then our opponent to play the Oliphant. It will be a 6/4 with Trample. So that'll go ahead and hit. And a Molt Tender, which can mill cards as well as exile cards from graveyards for mana. I probably should have Spell Snared the Molt Tender, but that is fine. Our opponent down to 1 card in hand. We've got a Torrential Gear Hulk on top of our library. I think we play the Gear Hulk into a Dismember from our graveyard to get rid of the Oliphant. Yeah, let's do that. So Gear Hulk on the stack. I do want to play Dismember. I'm going to get rid of the Oliphant. He's gone. Another opponent's creature died, so we'll gain a life off the Meat Hook Massacre. We've got a Forest on top of our library, so we'll play that for turn. Into a Thundertrap Trainer, so can't play that. Got 3 mana to play with, and then I think we are going to go ahead and attack for 2. Continue with the pressure game, and with that we'll pass to our opponent. They'll go straight to combat, and then second main phase we'll see Slimefoot and Squee hit the stack. They'll get a Sapling out of it, and then pass to us. We'll draw into the Thundertrap Trainer. We've got a Memory Lapse on top of our library. So I think we play the Trainer with an Offspring just to see what we get. So we'll pay 6 for this. Trainer will enter. We'll look at the top 4. We know we've got a Memory Lapse. There's also Hedge Mage, Bad River, and Lorien Revealed. And I think we want to get... we'll get the Memory Lapse just to slow our opponent down. And then the second 4, we have Disfigure, Unwind, Force of Negation, and Gloomwake Verge. And I think we're going to grab the Force of Negation. And then with that, we've got a Cling to Dust on top of our library. I don't really want to swing with Glarb right now because he could die, but the Gear Hulk could apply some extra pressure. We do have 8 cards in hand, unfortunately. So we'll go ahead and play Bloodstained Mire for turn. Let's crack it for a land and see if we can't get something better on top of our library. Or I should say not better, but with a CMC of 4 or more. And we'll go ahead and get Bayou. After shuffling, we've got Fact or Fiction on top of our library, so that's about perfect, an instant. And then we've got these counters in hand. And with that, we'll just go to combat and swing for 5 with our Gear Hulk. Saproling to block. Another creature died, so we'll gain a life off the Meat Hook. And then I think we pass to our opponent. Assassin's Trophy, a viable option now as they don't have any Saprolings. They're going to mill a card from themselves. They mill a Broadside Bombardier. We see Headliner Scarlet hit the stack. And I think we go ahead and memory lapse that just to slow our opponent down. So the headliner to hit the top of their library. And then they're going to play Verdant Catacombs as land for turn into a Stomping Ground. And I think with our remaining 2, we're going to go ahead and remove Slimefoot. And that'll give us a pretty open field. We'll pay 2 for that. And they'll get us destroyed. They'll get a basic swamp out of it. We'll gain a life. And then we'll untap and draw. Into our Fact or Fiction, we've got an island on top, so we'll go ahead and play that, and that gives us a rewind. Excellent. So I think with that, we go ahead and swing for lethal and see what our opponent does. The Molt Tender to block Torrential Gear Hulk, so we'll get in for 4 damage, gain a life off of Meat Hook Massacre. And I think we just pass to our opponent with a couple counter spells. They'll play Green Sun Zenith for 8, and I think we go ahead and play the rewind off the top of our library. And then we'll go ahead and untap those same 4 lands. And our opponent's tapped out. They're going to pass back to us. At the end of turn, I'm going to go ahead and play this Fact or Fiction. We've got 5 options here. Shieldred's Edict, Logic Knot, Restless Cottage, Botanical Sanctum, and Demonic Tutor. And I think we go ahead and pick up pile 2 with Shieldred's Edict, Logic Knot, and the Restless Cottage. On top of our library is a swamp, so we'll draw into that when we untap. Then I think we can just go to combat and swing. We'll leave Glarb untapped just in case, anything wonky. And with that, we'll win game 1. Back for game 2. As we won the first game, our opponent's going to choose to go first. And I think this is a keepable hand. We do have a couple cards we can't play as they cost black. But we do have an island, which gets us into this exclude as we have enough mana for that, an extra draw. So I think we go ahead and keep this hand and see how this game plays out. Mana Confluence from our opponents to start. And they'll go ahead and play Deathrite Shaman off the rip. We draw into it, Dismember, and I think we play this island and just pass back to our opponent. Green Sun Zenith for 1 into a Delighted Halfling. So that is rough, as we won't be able to counter legendary creatures that they use the Halfling for. And then Deathrite Shaman to attack for 1. We'll draw into a Sunken Palace. And I think we play the Sunken Palace. That gets us access to get out on our next turn. Although we're probably going to see Slimefoot here in a second. Yeah, we'll go ahead and play the Sunken Palace and pass to our opponent. Oh, actually they're going to play Broadside Bombardier. It's a 2/2 with Menace and Haste. And they can sacrifice creatures to deal damage to anything they want, so that's pretty cool. And then with that, they'll attack for 3. We're down to 16 now. A Raucous Theater, second main phase from our opponent. And then we draw into another island. So I think we go ahead and play... Shoot. Mirix would have fixed our colors for 1 turn and given us access to Glarb, which would have been nice. I think I play the Forest now, leaving up Exclude and Get Out, and then next turn I can use Mirix potentially for that black mana. And with that, we'll pass to our opponent, and they go straight to combat, attacking for 4. We're going to eat that and go down to 12. Second main phase, we do see Slimefoot and Squee, so we'll exclude that. We look at counter, we draw into a Sunken Hollow. We do control 2 basic lands, so I think we're going to play Sunken Hollow for our land return. And then I think we go ahead and get out. Slimefoot and Squee gives us a blocker, at least for these 2 creatures. And hopefully it'll stick. Our opponent only has 2 cards in hand now. Yep, Menacing Creature coming in. Nothing to do about that. And we'll see Slimefoot and Squee hit the stack again. I wish I would have had enough mana to counter that, but I don't. I do have the Dismember up, so potentially use that. And Slimefoot will hit at the battlefield. We draw into a Brain Surge, and we've got a Remand on top of our library. I think we go ahead and play the Brain Surge. We could still have access to Get Out. or Golem's Bite, in that we have this Sunken Hollow, so I think that's the right call. Let's go ahead and play the Brain Surge and see what we get. So we draw into a Fact or Fiction, Spell Snare, Thundertrap Trainer, and a Remand. I think the 2 cards we put back on top of our library should be both of these islands, and then we can actually play one of the islands off of the top, which would force us to put some cards into our graveyard. So both our islands to the top of our library. We've got 9 cards in hand. We'll go ahead and play an island off of the top. We got access to 2 mana. I think maybe we leave Spell Snare up, play a Dismember on Slimefoot and Squee, and then we also would leave Golem's Bite up. That would cost us 4 life. That's pretty rough. I don't like that very much. Potentially, maybe we just play the Golem's Bite. Yeah, let's play the Golem's Bite, and then we'll figure out what we're going to discard here in a second. We'll get rid of this menacing creature because we can't block him. We definitely want to keep Spell Snares. That's our only counter spell in hand, or only counter spell we have access to in hand. I think I'm going to discard the Remand, as it is the least useful of these, in my opinion. But with that, we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. At the end of turn, we'll discard the Remand. Oof, rough. They're going to play Detective's Phoenix, and that'll be a 2/2 flyer with haste. And then they're going to swing all in, and Slimefoot and Squee is going to make a Saproling on attack. We'll definitely be blocking Slimefoot and Squee. We'll be taking 2, 3, 4, 5. That would cut us down to half of our life, and I don't really have much I can do about it, so we'll go ahead and that'll happen. Molt Tender, second main phase from our opponent, so they can't get... Oh, they actually sent Slimefoot and Squee back to the command zone, so he's going to cost a little bit more. We draw into that island we left on top. We've got a Memory Lapse on top of our library. I think the correct play is to play this Dismember as well as the Thundertrap Trainer, just so we have another body. We need to get rid of a flyer, so I think that's the right play to make, but we can leave this up just in case. Well, actually, we need to play it now so we don't have to pay 2 life. So I'll play the Mirrex. It can add us a black, because I just played it this turn, and then we'll go ahead and dismember the Detective's Phoenix. It'll be removed, and then I think we play the Thundertrap Trainer, and we got Spell Snare online. Unfortunately, we can't play the Offspring cost. We will get to pick something. We know we got Memory Lapse on top, just like last time, and that will be the one card that we get because it's our only option. Otherwise, we've got Scalding Tarn, Zagoth Triome, or Botanical Sanctum. So we'll put that into hand, and then we'll pass to our opponent and see if we can't stabilize here. They'll play the Keen-Eyed Curator, and luckily we have the mana to counter that, so we'll play our Spell Snare, and then a Moloch, a 2/2 with Ravenous. When this creature enters the battlefield with plus counters on it, or if X is 5 or more, draw a card, and they chose X for it to be 2, so it's going to be a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature and opponent rolls. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Oh, rough. So we're probably going to lose... Oh, we're going to lose a Thundertrap Trainer. He's going to keep his alive. I guess he didn't want to lose to Death Touch. We're just too far behind, I think, maybe. We've got Command Tower on top, so we'll draw into that. And now we've got a Negate on top of our library. And I think that's going to be a good game. Maybe we play Fact or Fiction and see what we can get into. Yeah, let's do that. Fact or Fiction for 4. The 5 cards on top are Negate, Abrupt Decay, Underground Sea, Meringue, River Regent, and an Island. And I think we have to pick whatever pile has this Abrupt Decay. And they choose to put it in pile 3 that actually has 3 cards. So we'll get the Underground Sea, Abrupt Decay, and a Negate. And then we will play Command Tower as our land. Well, actually we shuffled. We'll play this island off the top of our library. And we get a Lose Focus underneath. So now I think we play the Abrupt Decay and get rid of the Moloch. We're still taking 4 damage next turn, so we're almost knocked out, but not quite. And he could easily draw into a Lightning Bolt or something. But with that, we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. Deathrite Shaman to remove an island from our graveyard at the end of turn, and then they go straight to attacks. And I think we would get rid of the shaman just so that he can't exile instants and sorceries and force us to lose 2 life at a time that way. We still take 4, so we're down to 1. And then Elves of Deep Shadow from our opponent. And we draw into the Lose Focus. We've got a Watery Grave off top, so I think we play that tapped. And that'll reveal a Shadows of the Second Sun, which can give us multiple combats, which does not help us. We've just got a bunch of counter spells. We needed a way to wipe the board. Drown in Sorrows, Toxic Deluge. Well, Toxic Deluge wouldn't have done it either. Yeah, I think we are going to be out of this one. The only thing we can do is play that card off the top of our library and hope we get into something. We do have this Cling to Dust, which could gain us 3 life. That would still put us at almost lethal, but maybe they won't attack with everything. Let's go ahead and play Command. Oh, we can't play Command Tower. Shoot. Okay. Well, let's play this card off the top of the library and see what's under there. We do get extra combats. I forgot to activate Glarb at the end of turn. Shoot. Okay. We get a Rewind off the top, so that's unfortunate. We could play it if we had the mana. We'll go back and get another combat. And then, oh, we actually get to draw into cards and untap. I did not realize that. Shoot, I messed that up. I just clicked through. I didn't realize that was like get an extra turn every turn. This is a really strong card. We have to go to end of turn and discard. And I think we get rid of Underground Sea. No, we get rid of this island. We got rid of 2 cards. Okay, we'll get rid of the island and the Underground Sea. We've got Breeding Pool on top. I super messed that up. Our opponent doesn't even play anything. And they're going to swing for lethal. We'll go ahead and block the Delighted Halfling. We'll Cling to Dust. What is that? Oh, there's only creatures here. I guess we'll get rid of the detectives. Phoenix. We do gain 4 life, but we're going to lose 4 life, and I don't see any way out of that. Unfortunately, I could have played this Breeding Pool off the top of my library last game and potentially seen more of the deck, but I messed up. So, we'll hit 0, and then we'll go to Game 3. Alright, back for Game 3. We lost last game, potentially due to my misplays. Probably due to my misplays. But since we lost, we get to elect to be on the play, so we will do that. Here's our starting hand, and I like it as we've got some counter magic, and it'll help us to stabilize the board. So I think I'm going to keep this hand, and I think we play the Marsh Flats into a blue-black source, just so that we can play Opt. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and put out Underground Sea, and then pass to our opponent. Last top query from them for turn. And then at the end of turn, we'll go ahead and play this Opt. We've got Unwind on top. We don't have the mana for it, so I'm going to go ahead and scry Unwind to the bottom. And then we draw an Archmage's Charm, and we draw into a Wash Away. So I'll play Restless Cottage. It'll enter tapped. We've got access to Wash Away, which won't be played because our opponent is not going to be able to get to Slimefoot and Squee this turn. And then we draw into a Bayou, so now we've got 3 mana and can play our own commander. I don't have a way, well, I could return him with Cryptic Command later if I wanted to. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and play Slimefoot and Squee, and then we've got just counter magic for days after that. We've got a Wooded Foothills on top of our library, so that'll be our draw next turn, and we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. Polluted Delta from our opponent into a Nature's Lore, so they'll get a Taiga. And pass back to us. And then we've got an Oko on top of our library, which you can't play. We'll go ahead and play the Wooded Foothills. I would like to draw into the Oko, so I'll wait until we draw before I crack this Wooded Foothills. We've got 3 mana up, so we've got access to, well, 1 counter spell. We've got Mana Leak or Wash Away, as we don't have other blue sources. And since I want to draw this Oko, I think I'm going to go ahead and attack with Slimefoot, with Glarb. Opponent down to 17. And then they're going to go ahead and play Slimefoot and Squee. They're going to bring out their commander. And I think we Mana Leak this. And then a Gal Feral Youth. Whenever it attacks, put a plus counter on it. At the beginning of Each end step, if a card left your graveyard this turn, Gal deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Alright, we go ahead and draw into the Oko. We've got Botanical Sanctum on top of our library. So we'll go ahead and play that as land for turn. It's going to enter tapped. Then I think we crack the Wooded Foothills, and we want a blue source, an untapped blue source. So I think we're going to bring out Tropical Island. And then I think we play Oko, leaving access to Wash Away up, and then we'll just start creating foods and 3/3 Elks. I don't think I need to worry about this guy just yet. Yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll +2 Oko to make a food token, and then we'll leave Glarb back to block this potential attacker. Our opponent to play Windswept Heath is land for turn. Emperor of Bones. It's a 2/2 with a depth 2, and you can exile cards every combat from people's graveyard, so that's pretty strong. Whenever one or more plus counters are put onto Emperor of Bones, put a creature card exile with Emperor of Bones onto the battlefield under your control with a finality counter. I don't like that too much, so that'll hit the stack, and then we'll see a 3 visits into a commercial district, so our opponent to surveil 1. They choose to leave it on top. They're going to exile Mana Leak from our graveyard, and then they choose not to attack, and then we see a Tarmogoyf, second main phase. Our opponent down to 2 cards. It is a 3/4, unfortunately. I think I go ahead and activate Glarb and see what we can't mill. We've got 2 cards on top of our library, Get Out and Loose Focus. I think we put Loose Focus into our graveyard, and we go ahead and draw into the Get Out. And now we've got a Logic Knot on top of our library. Unfortunately, we are missing a land drop this turn, but I think that's the right play. And then we've just got Counter Magic up for our opponent to see what they do. Well, maybe I turn this food into our own 3/3 that can block. I like that better. I can double block the Tarmogoyf if need be, or just take it. So we'll turn that food into a 3/3 Elk, and then we'll pass to our opponent. They're going to go ahead and exile the Loose Focus from our graveyard, and the Emperor chooses to attack us. He's got the mana to Adept 2. I think I go ahead and double block him, forcing him to activate his ability, and then I can just return him with Cryptic Command. That would use up all my blues. I don't like that. Shoot. Yeah, I think we just take that 2. That's fine. If he turns it into 4, that's also fine. I'll go down to 3 loyalty. And then we see Slimefoot and Squee hit the stack. I think I want to play Get Out on this. That would leave Wash Away for if he tries to get another Slimefoot and Squee. And also, well, I don't know what he's going to draw to. I think Wash Away is the right play, just leaving me access to all these other things. So yeah, we'll go ahead and counter Slimefoot and Squee for 1. And then we'll go ahead and activate Glarb at the end of turn. We'll put Logic Knot in the graveyard as well as Verdant Catacombs. Well, I do want to draw into a land. Let's leave Verdant Catacombs on top so we can draw that. Alright, we get into Verdant Catacombs. We'll go ahead and pay a life. We want to get blue again. And I think our best grab is going to be this Watery Grave. Unfortunately, we have to pay 2 life, but that's the only way to get an untapped blue source right now. And then I think the right play is to make another, well, let's play this Shadows of the Second Sun, targeting ourselves. We'll go ahead and, I don't know, will that allow us to get a second activation off Oko? Probably not. If we create another food, Oko would go up to 5, and the Emperor could only bring him down to 1. So I think the right play is to go ahead and create a food. And then we'll just pass. Let's see how this works. At the beginning of each player's enchanted player's post-combat main phase, there's an additional beginning phase after this. Okay. So we went back to the beginning. Okay, I guess you basically just get to untap. I guess I have access to my counter spells again, which is good. Raid Bombardment from our opponent. So his smalls will deal damage to us when he attacks. And then he's going to exile something from our graveyard. It was the Logic Knot. Choosing not to attack, but we do see a Disrupting Scepter from our opponent. And this needs to get countered, or else we are going to be losing a lot of cards from our hand. I actually maybe should have countered the Raid Bombardment with the Get Out, but I didn't. So here we are. I think I used the Archmage's Charm to counter this one. So we'll pay 3 to counter that spell. Tarmogoyf now to become a 4/5, and then we'll go ahead and activate Glarb at the end of turn. We've got Rewind and Snapcaster Mage. Those are both great cards. Let's Let's leave them both on top. If we draw, I can't alter the top, I guess. Okay. Oh, I can. So I'll put Snapcaster Mage on top, and then I will put Rewind under that, as I can play cards that cost 4 or more off the top of my library. So then we'll draw into the Snapcaster Mage. We'll play an island for turn. We'll turn a food into a 3/3. Next turn we can actually steal a creature. And then with that, I think we just pass the turn to our opponent. Shoot, I forgot. We got all this extra mana. I should have played the Snapcaster into, well, I guess into the Archmage's Charm to draw a couple cards. That would have probably been smart. Alright, we'll pass to our opponent. Why did we just draw a card? Oh, I guess I'm drawing off of this Shadows of the Second Sun as well at the end of turn. This is an odd card. I'm not fully sure how this works. They're casting a Skull Clamp, which I absolutely do not want them to have. So I think we Cryptic Command that. No, let's rewind that, and then we can untap. Yeah, I like that. Let's rewind. Skull Clamp to be countered. We'll untap our lands. They'll exile a card from our graveyard. Spider Punk, and this says his stuff can't be countered, so we're going to go ahead and get that out of here. Our opponent down to 1 card in hand now, and then I think let's see. The only thing I really want to get back with Snapcaster is Archmage's Charm, just to draw some cards, and I don't have the mana to do it right now. I don't think I have really any good play, so I think we just activate Glarb. Disfigure could get rid of that Gao guy, and then Flooded Strands right there. Actually, I like this. We'll just leave those both on top. We can play Flooded Strand off the top, draw into the Disfigure. So yeah, Flooded Strand as a land for turn. That leaves Urtai on top, which I guess we're going to draw. Activate the Flooded Strand, lose a life. We'll get the Zygoth Triome to the battlefield. Let's go ahead and steal the Tarmogoyf. Well, I don't really want to give them a 3/3. Let's disfigure this Gao guy first. If I give them a 3/3, the Tarmogoyf will trade with 1 and then die to both. I am way ahead now. They've only got 1 card in hand. I think that's the right play to get it off while I can. So let's go ahead and do that. Tarmogoyf, please. No, I misclicked. I turned the Tarmogoyf into a 3/3 instead. Okay. Well, seeing as we're going to lose a bunch of mana, I think we play that Archmage's Charm into a couple new cards. So 3 for that. We draw into a Fact or Fiction and we get a cut down. Can't use it on anything out there, but it will be useful later potentially. And we've got a Waterlogged Teachings on top of our library, so we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. We'll get to untap everything and draw an extra card, I guess. And then our opponent to exile more cards from our graveyard. And they play a Witty Roastmaster now. So they're going to get damage on things entering and attacking us. And then it's end of turn. On top of our library is an Assassin's Trophy, which I like. I definitely want to draw that, so I don't... Well, I could get rid of the second card underneath. I don't want to play this Waterlog. I guess I'll play Fact or Fiction to draw it, and then we can Surveil too. Alright, the 5 cards are Assassin's Trophy, Swamp, Golem's Bite, Dimir Aqueduct, and Bloodchief's Thirst. And our opponent puts Assassin's Trophy, Dimir Aqueduct into one pile, and then a Swamp, Golem's Bite, and the Bloodchief's Thirst into the other. And I'm going to grab pile 2 just because I've got 2 removal spells in there, and that would just leave his 3/3. So we'll pick up pile 2. We get Bloodchief's Thirst, Golem's Bite, and a Swamp. And we've got the mana to actually kick the... Oh, it's a sorcery speed, so we can't do that. We've got Unwind on top of our library, which would be nice to draw into, so I don't want to activate Glarb. So I think with that, we just play the Golem's Bite on the Witty Roastmaster. It'll get removed, and then we will draw into the Unwind. We've got a Remand on top of our library. We'll play the Swamp for turn. We'll play the Bloodchief's Thirst kicked, destroying the Emperor of Bones. I wouldn't mind drawing the Remand, so I think we just swing with... Oh, I can swap control of the Tarmogoyf. Well, it's just a 3/3 now, so that doesn't help much. I think I just keep plussing Oko. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's plus Oko, make another food token, and then we can swing for 8 with Glarb, as well as the food token Elks. Our opponent down to 8, and then we go ahead and untap everything. Draw into the remand, and now we've got a consult the star charts on top of our library. Our opponent not to attack. And then we see Slimefoot and Squee hit the stack. And I think the proper play is to play Cryptic Command, countering Slimefoot and Squee, and then drawing a card. Or we could tap down his creature and then have lethal. Yeah, let's do that. Let's counter that and then tap down his Tarmogoyf. Well, we have lethal either which way. Let's tap it down and draw a card. Or counter a spell and draw a card, I mean. Slimefoot and Squee countered. We draw into Consult the Star Charts. We've got Spell Snare on top of our library. I think we go ahead and activate Glarb. We'll go ahead and put both of these cards, Spell Snare and an Island, into our graveyard. And then we'll play this Waterlogged Teachings. And I think the right thing to get is this Dismiss, which is just going to be another copy of Cryptic Command as we just played it. And then we'll go ahead and untap. Let's turn this food into an elk, and then let's swing with everything. Tarmogoyf to block one of the elves, so they'll trade, and then we actually come out 2-1 over our opponent. So Glarb with the victory today.
If you made it this far, then you get to answer our question of the day. It being National Veterinary Medicine Day, let me know who your favorite vet or pet is, and if you haven't had a pet yet, tell me if you had to have one, what kind of animal you would choose to have. My favorite pet is my current dog. She's part German Shepherd Rescue, and she makes for a great security animal for my family. YouTube thinks you'll like the video in the top right. Otherwise, you could check out one of the playlists on the bottom. If you liked the video, consider subscribing by clicking the button in the top left. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by giving this video a thumbs up or leaving a comment with your thoughts below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.